We are almost done with our trip. Look at this. We are in book 4 now. How do you feel? Where are we? Here or here? I think here, right?
Yeah.
It's the 4th, 5th. Right? So, all right, study hard. We're almost done. Okay. Session 2, understanding marketing environments. Understanding marketing environments. Do we have marketing environment? We know about environment, of course, but having a marketing environment, this is something new. To you, not to me. Okay. All right. Let's see. But we studied before what we mean by business environment. Remember? That was
sharing the same values between employers and employees.
You remember in session 2 when we studied the external environments of book 1, session 2 of book 1, and we studied steep SWOT. You remember that?
Yes.
That was session 2 of book 1, and that time we studied what we mean by the business external environment, and we said that the external environment means the world in which the business operates, right? Do you think that it's the same as the marketing environment? Maybe, who knows? Let's see. Okay, now let's start by the aims. The aims are, explain what is meant by the marketing environment. What do you mean by marketing environment? This is the critical issue here. Explain the difference between the macro and the micro environment. Oh, it's a long story. It's not only just environment, it's micro and macro. Micro and macro.
Is it science?
Their elements and how they affect the marketing practice. Okay? And finally, to explain the ethical issues related to businesses' relationships with key market stakeholders. Okay, so only 3 aims only. It's a short session. Okay, let's start. Okay. Here, look at this figure first. This is the marketing environment. The marketing environment is divided into internal environment and external environment. The external environment is divided into micro environment and macro environment. What do you think about that?
Good. Yeah, micro.
Perfect.
Bigger than macro, right?
I'm sorry?
Micro bigger than macro?
It's not about the size. It's something else you will see now. Okay? Sometimes, of course, the macro, when we talk about micro, so you go into detail of this thing, of the thing. But when we talk about macro, it's on a larger scale, like an overview or a wider scale. But here it's a little bit different. So let's see. So now you know the marketing environment is divided into internal environment and external environment, and the external environment in turn is divided into micro and macro environment. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So, here the marketing environment is the business environment from a marketing point of view. The business environment from a marketing point of view. The marketing environment is divided into internal and external environments. Okay? Where the external environment is further divided into micro environment and macro environment. Let's see. Wow. What is this? Here. This is the internal environment. This is the organization. This is the firm. Here.
Yes.
Okay? So we mean by the internal environment, the organization itself. The environment inside the organization itself. Okay? This is what we mean by the internal environment. Okay. Then we have the external environment. The external environment is composed of 2 layers. The micro layer and the macro layer. Okay? So the micro layer is this one. The one that includes the parties with which the organization has a direct contact.
Shareholders.
Okay, like stakeholders. Ah. Okay, so who are they? Customers, competitors, suppliers, intermediaries, and some publics like other stakeholders. Okay, so the micro environment is part of the external environment. Okay, that includes the parties with which the organization has direct contact. Okay? What about the other layer of the external environment? The other layer, the wider layer, is the macro environment, which includes different aspects like demographic factors, demographic factors, technological factors, environmental factors, economic factors, okay? Sociological, that's cheap almost, excellent. So for this reason, we're having the exchange rates, government, publics, foreign competition, climate, culture, technology, interest rates, all these things. So now you can tell me, we can draw this here to clarify it better. Okay. All right. Here, this is the organization. Okay? Inside the organization, we have what we call the internal environment. Okay? And outside the organization, we have what is called the external environment in general. The external environment is divided into two layers. The first layer, which is closer to the organization, which includes some parties that have direct contact with the organization, such as who? Customers, competitors, suppliers, right? And so on. Other stakeholders, mainly different stakeholders. And we call it micro environment, right? We call it like that. The other layer of the external environment is called the macro environment. Macro, okay? And it includes or deals with different factors of the STEEP model. Okay? Now you can explain what we mean by marketing environment?
Yes.
Very easy, right?
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Let's talk about the internal environment quickly. What do you mean by the internal environment? Okay. It's the environment inside the organization.
Yes.
In marketing, I mean. What does it mean in marketing? Okay. In order to ensure that customer needs and expectations are considered at all stages, okay, of the business process, the marketing department and organization has to work closely with other functional departments in the business. Such as what? Such as the research and development department, the purchasing department, the production department, and the finance department. The HR department, why not? These are just examples. Okay. Marketers have to persuade employees throughout the business that customer orientation is a key consideration. Okay. Now, when we talk about the internal environment of the organization, when we talk about marketeers, we usually focus on customers' needs and wants. We usually think externally, right? Since we started talking about marketing. But actually, we need to start by thinking internally first. Okay, what is the role of marketeers inside the organization? Marketeers should make sure that customers' needs and wants are looked after, okay, throughout all the stages of the business process. How to do that? Through communicating with different departments, okay, to make sure that the production department is producing the products required, to make sure that the finance department approved financing or giving us the budget that we need to satisfy our customers' needs and wants, okay? To make sure that the research and development is able to be innovative enough to come up with new products or services that will satisfy customers' needs and wants, and so on, okay? How to do that? Through convincing and persuading the employees in different departments of the business or the organization that we all need to be customer-driven. We all need to be customer-oriented. Otherwise, the business will not survive. Otherwise, the business will not continue or will not be successful as we all wish. Okay? So this is the role of marketeers inside an organization, inside the business itself, how to get everybody involved in this, which we talked about that from a different perspective at the beginning of the class. We call this marketing orientation. Marketing concept, and how to get everybody involved and be customer oriented. This is what we discussed at the beginning of the class, and this is what we mean here by internal environment or internal marketing environment. And then here we started here on the external environment. Okay, let's start by the micro environment first. The micro environment consists of individuals and organizations that are in direct contact with the business. You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. They include existing and potential customers, suppliers, competitors, intermediaries, and some other stakeholders. Okay. Of course, customers are the most important.
Yes.
Let's see. Here we talk about, let's start by competitors. We need to know which stakeholder we are talking about. We need to know what we mean by this stakeholder, or the aspects of the different transactions, the type of deals between this stakeholder and the organization, and the ethical issues to be considered. Okay, let's see. First of all, businesses need to understand their competitors. Do you agree?
Yes.
Sure. Otherwise, you'll not be able to compete. All right. Meeting customer needs and expectation is not enough if competitors can do it better, right? If your competitor is able to meet customers' needs and wants, then better than you, then you need to exert more efforts, right? Something to do further actions, take further actions. In order to do so, businesses need to define who its competitors actually are. So in order to deal with competitors, now we are talking about the external environment, the first layer, the micro. Okay, the first party we got here is the competitors. Now, the first question, who are your competitors as a business? The marketeer should ask himself or herself this question. Who are our competitors as a business? Okay, how to define our competitors? One of the problems is that sometimes you have a limited, as marketeers and as businesses, we have a limited view of competitors. How? Okay, let's think about that. Assume that you are a bookseller. Who are your competitors?
All the booksellers.
Or booksellers, okay.
Around you.
Surrounding you, if we are talking about the, not necessarily surrounding you, sometimes it depends. Okay, let's say that. Okay, booksellers. All right. So this is what we call a limited definition of competitors. Why? Because you selected the competitors or the players in the same sector in specific, and you said that these are my competitors. But actually what you need to do is different. Now, ask yourself about the segment that you target. Okay? Bookseller. If you sell books to people who are looking for entertainment, okay, then you have some other competitors,
Yes.
like cinema, right? Okay. And if you sell the books to people who look for information, you have some other competitors, like internet. Right? How to define your competitors? This is a big question, okay? So you understand now how should marketers deal with the external environment, okay? So this is what we mean by, interesting? This is what we mean by defining competitors, okay? All right. So competitors, what we should care or how to understand what we mean by competitors, and the ethical issues as a business. Keep in mind, ethics, Abdul Majid. Ethics are very important. I'm really happy that you are attending the ethical class with me today. Okay, so ethical issues to consider when we deal with competitors. Okay, we have usually ethical problems arise either because of overly aggressive competition or conversely because of insufficient competition. We have two situations. Either we have overly aggressive competition, okay, so some ethical issues are to be considered in this case, or we have insufficient competition. We don't have a sufficient competition. Okay, so yes, so we have these two situations. When we talk about the overly aggressive competition, okay, three ways or three situations, three examples of unethical treatments or unethical behavior. For example, the underhand ways of collecting information about competitors, to collect information about competitors in an unethical way. This is one of the things, the examples. Dirty tricks, such as negative advertising and the stealing of customers. Negative advertising, when you conduct some advertising that aim at damaging the reputation of your competitor. For example, yes, okay. Take it saying that the quality is very bad, it's unhealthy product or whatever. So you are trying to damage the reputation. Or stealing the customer through bribery, for example, giving money to one of the employees in your competitor's business to get their customers, you know, something like that. So these are all unethical behaviors. Predatory pricing. Predatory pricing when you sell your product below cost at a price that is lower than your cost with a sole aim of just driving your competitors out of the market. It happens, actually. You understand that? So sometimes you have some competitors and you'd like to drive them out of the market. So just let's waste some money, because through doing this you will be able to kick them out of the market. So let's sell our product at a price that is lower than the cost and kick them out, which is totally unethical. Okay, all right. So these are examples of the overly aggressive competition, unethical behaviors. Okay. For insufficient competition means that if you are the only player or the giant player in the market, you can provide the customers with whatever product you would like to, at whatever quality, even if the quality is low than what is expected, even if the price is higher than what is expected, still you can manage the whole situation because there is no sufficient competition, which is unethical at the same time. You know that?
In an ethical thing. Or he's a big player and it's a big organization.
But he is making use or making benefit out of the situation that he does not have other players in the market. If he has, it's not. Now we are talking about relationship marketing, how to retain customers, how to satisfy customers' needs and wants. If customers do not have any other source of the product, okay, except you, all right, so then you will provide them the product with low quality. This is what we are talking about, providing customers with quality, with product, with lower quality products than what is needed, okay, with higher prices than what is expected. Making use of the situation that no other players in the market, right? Yes. Is this ethical? It's unethical. All right. Okay. So now we understand what we mean by competitors, yes, and the ethical issues to be considered. Yes. Okay. All right. Suppliers. Who are suppliers? What do you mean by suppliers? Suppliers.
Suppliers of raw materials.
Oh, excellent. Suppliers are businesses and individuals that provide the resources needed by the business and its competitors to produce goods and services. Suppliers are the businesses or individuals that provide you as a business with the inputs, with the resources that you need to produce. Okay? All right, this is what we mean by suppliers. Okay, they are, of course, a very important link in the supply chain. or very important link in delivering the product to customers, because without having suppliers, we don't have resources and so on, which means that we don't have product. It is very important for any business to monitor the supply, quality, and availability. Why? Supply quality and availability. Why?
Because if the supply quality is low, you will have to conduct or create low quality.
Excellent. Excellent. If the quality of the supplies is low, this means that the product will be produced with low quality, which means that we are dissatisfying our customers. Availability, if we do not have the supplies available on time, we'll not be able to deliver the order on time, which means again penalty and dissatisfied customers. Okay? So we need to monitor the supply quality and availability. Okay, and we have different approaches adopted by different businesses concerning suppliers. In managing supplies, we have some businesses trying to buy the cheapest supplies possible and frequently switching suppliers.
Yes.
So they try to purchase the cheapest resources available, and usually they switch from one supplier to another. They look usually for the cheapest suppliers. But usually they do that with insignificant materials like cleaning materials, like stationery materials, you know that? But when we talk about the important inputs or the inputs of the product itself, they follow the other approach, a relationship approach. We need to have a long-term relationship with few number of suppliers, because we can build trust in those suppliers. We can guarantee that our resources or inputs will be available, the supplies will be available on time with the required level of quality. So with our main resources, the resources that we use in producing the main product, we need to follow the relationship approach with our suppliers, having a long-term relationship with fewer number of suppliers. Okay? The last one is about the cooperation approach. The cooperation approach, when you cooperate with the supplier to produce something new, like for example, a specialist machine. We don't have this in the market, so let's cooperate. I cooperate with you as my supplier to produce this machine. Usually, in this approach, they have a long-term relationship, because it's very difficult to switch to another supplier, because both of you invested a lot of resources in developing the technology, in getting the machine, and all these things. So you do not sacrifice all these resources. You got that? How to deal with the ethical issues to be considered in dealing with suppliers. We have here usually the ethical issues stem from unequal behavior between the two partners. For example, some giant supermarkets, giant stores, deal unequally with farmers. Okay, you know that farmers supply giant supermarkets with vegetables, right? With meat, right? What they do is that they give them unfair prices, and they keep the profit share, the largest profit share, for themselves. The low price they spend or they pay, to the farmers is not reflected in the price to the final consumer. It's not. Okay? So they pay low prices to farmers, and still they keep the prices of the product to the final consumer as high as is. You got that?
Yes.
So, which means that you do not deal fairly with the supplier. Who is the supplier in this case, as according to our example? The farmer. So this is an ethical issue. As a business, you should be ethical in dealing with your suppliers. Be fair. Okay? Negotiations between a business and its potential suppliers. When you have a negotiation, both sides will try to get as good a deal as possible. We negotiate. Okay, I will get it for $100. No, $150. No, $100. $150. $120. $140. Everybody's trying to to get to get a good deal. Okay, so when you negotiate, usually try to be ethical. Do not deceive them. This is Okay, in the long term, if you do not do that, in the long term you will lose your supply. Keep this in your mind. When we ask you to be ethical, it's about ethics itself, of course, about ethics themselves, but not only that, for you, Abdul Majid, to help you to follow ethics, it's about the business survival. If you do not keep ethical performance in your relationships with other parties, you will not survive because you will lose them one by one. No. Day after day, you will lose them because they will have better deals with others. So you need to know how to be ethical with all parties, how to satisfy all parties some way or another, okay, through being fair. Otherwise, you will lose them all and you will not have anybody dealing with your business in the future. Even if you made short-term profits today, you will not be able to keep this in the future, in the long term. Okay? Yes. After 10 years, you will remember what I'm what I'm saying now. Okay? 10 years from now, you will remember this lecture in this classroom. Inshallah, hopefully. And I hope that you will say, thanks Allah, I followed what Dr. Amal said. And instead of saying, why didn't I follow what she said? Okay? All right. All right. Here about marketing intermediaries. What do you mean by intermediaries? Who are the intermediaries? Marketing intermediaries are businesses that help another business to promote, sell, and distribute its goods to final buyer. For example, a manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, and final consumer. Wholesaler and retailers are intermediaries. Middle people. People in the middle of the distribution channel. Okay? So, all right? Okay. So, who are the intermediaries? We have here some examples of intermediaries. The first is the resellers. Resellers, individuals and businesses that buy goods and services to resell. Like the wholesalers, like the supermarkets, when they buy from the manufacturer, they buy not to use it, to resell it. So this is an intermediary, right? This is what we mean by resellers. The physical distribution businesses. Some businesses are specialized, yes, in some services like the warehouse, transportation, and other businesses that help a business to stock and move goods from their points of origin to other destinations. Okay, so you do not conduct the transportation on your own. You do not conduct the stocking on your own. Okay, the stock or the keeping the inventory. Some businesses are doing this on your behalf. Yes. These are intermediaries. Okay, what else? Marketing services agencies, marketing research businesses, advertising agencies, media businesses, marketing consulting businesses, and other service providers that help a business to target and promote its products to the right market. So assume that you don't have a marketing team. You've just started your own business. Should you hire a marketing expertise? You don't have to. At the beginning, you don't have to. You might outsource this. Just get a business conducting the market research for you. Get a business conducting the promotional activities for you, and so on. We call this business at that time a marketing intermediary. Okay? All right. Financial intermediaries like banks. Credit businesses, insurance businesses, they facilitate your life in terms of financial wise, in terms of financial aspects, they facilitate your life. They provide you with loans, with money, right? With sometimes with insurance, of course. They conduct feasibility studies for you, like the one that you have to conduct in your team. Remember? Okay. All right. All right. So all these, if you compare these types with the definition, businesses that help another business to promote, sell, and distribute its goods to final buyers, the definition applies to them, right? Okay, very good. So what about marketing intermediaries? The ethical issues to be considered is the same as the ones we consider with suppliers. Because again, it's buying and selling, right? So make sure that you have equal treatments and you are fair to them, and in negotiation be fair to them. Okay? All right. Other stakeholders, sometimes we call them other publics. Other stakeholders, of course, you all know who are the stakeholders. Can you define the word stakeholders? we studied it twice. One in book one time in book 1, and the other time was in book 3. People who have interest, organizations or parties who have interest in the business. Okay? So, all right. So those are individuals, groups of individuals and organizations that have an actual or potential interest in the business, okay? Because they are affected by and or have the ability to affect the business's pursuit of its own objectives. They are affected by the business survival or have the ability to affect the business survival. You got that? So, and you all know them, of course, the owners, the managers, the employees, the customers, all these are stakeholders. So other stakeholders. Stakeholders are also referred to as other publics, as I told you. Businesses should identify any support they may need from a stakeholder, okay, or any potential threat that stakeholder might pose, okay, and try to maximize the support and minimize the threat. Some stakeholders can support you. Think as a business, as a marketeer, how to get the support from different stakeholders. How to get their support, okay? Who can support you? The owners, the creditors. Yes, the government. Who can support you and who can threaten you? Okay? How to maximize the support, the potential for support, and how to minimize the potential for threats. This is your creativity, and this is your role as a marketeer, dealing with the micro environment. Okay? All right. All right. So now we are done with the internal, like the marketing environment. We are done with the internal marketing environment, right? And we started with the external marketing environment. The external, we covered now the micro layer of the external environment. We talked about competitors, right? We talked about suppliers. We talked about intermediaries. And we talked about other stakeholders, right? Let's take the other layer which is the macro environment. The macro environment consists of the larger society forces that affect the whole micro environment, including demographic, economic, natural, social, political, legal, cultural, and technological forces. All these forces are there in the macro external environment. As a marketeer, how to deal with this? Okay? So, the STEEP model offers one way of classifying these factors. The STEEP model. And when we talk about STEEP here, you remember we studied STEEP in book 1, but it was a general study of STEEP analysis. Okay? Here, when we talk about STEEP, we talk about STEEP in terms of how it relates to a business's marketing activities. How it relates to a business's marketing activities. STEEP can be conducted for everything, not only in marketing. Right? For anything. But here, when we study STEEP in book 4, in session 2 of book 4, we try to focus on the marketing activities. Okay? How to conduct STEEP in terms of the marketing activities. Okay, it is composed of, you remember STEEP is stands for sociological, T for technological, E, economic, the other E is environmental factors, and finally the P for political factors. STEEP model. Okay, let's see. Here when we talk about the sociological factor, we talk about demographic, social, and cultural factors. Remember when you asked me about the religion and they told you religion is usually included in cultural factors, and cultural factors are usually along with the sociological factors. Okay? Alright, so when we talk about sociological factors, if you remember we said that when we talk about sociological factors, it's about the structure of the population, right? Yes. When we talk about the sociological factors in marketing terms, okay, we care about demographic factors, which includes a population size, okay, growth trends, age structure, educational levels, and family structures. Do you think that these factors affect the marketing activities?
Yes.
Sure, because you need to segment the market, you need to target some segments, right? Based on the age, based on the educational level, right? Family structures, all these things, right? Okay, social factors, the impact of social class, important impact of family and other social groupings, roles of men and women. For example, are ladies working in this society or staying home? Okay, attitudes towards divorce. Yeah, okay. Cultural factors, language. Do we need the language in marketing? Of course we need it. We need to be aware of cultural differences in terms of language. Ethnicity, okay? Religion, national culture, globalization, increased migration. Because the increased migration, at the end you feel that the society has multicultural groups, right? And you can target one of these groups. Continued cultural differences between and within nations. These are all included in the sociological factors. Each one has its own effect. Okay? Let's take an activity. What is the effect of the following demographic trends on the marketing common products? What is the effect of the following demographic trends? These are demographic trends. I'd like you to tell me about the effect of these demographic trends on the marketing common products. On the marketing of common products. Sorry.
Lower birth rates.
Lower birth rates. Now, the birth rates are not that high, which means what?
You can have good opportunity to sell kids products.
Baby products, excellent.
kindergartens.
Like you mean babysitters and nurseries? Nurseries. Okay, very good. Excellent. Excellent. So when we have lower birth rates, this means that the size of this market is getting limited, smaller, right? Smaller market for industries dealing with babies. So lower the limited market, which means that we don't have a very high opportunity to sell baby products. We don't have very good opportunities for nursery activities and so on. Aging population. What about aging population? Aging, which means that we have old age people in the society. They are increasing.
France.
Yes, in more developed countries they are, because there they have the health care. Okay, so how can this affect?
You can target them by offering more healthcare or.
Excellent. It depends, of course, on the industry, yes, but you know that those are a considerable segment of the market. Yes. They are there, and when you offer clothes, when you offer food, when you offer anything, you should make sure drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, medicines, all these things should be, this segment should be considered. Okay? It's a segment, effects. Okay. Increased education levels. How can this affect the marketing activity of some businesses? Increased education levels.
Selling high-tech products.
Excellent. Selling high technology products. If you are a publishing company, you can because more people will be interested in reading.
Yes.
All right.
Science magazines.
Magazines and all these things. Ladies will tend to get jobs.
Yes. Right?
Which means this is an opportunity for what? For ready-made meals. Okay, because we are busy, we don't have time to cook, so we purchase the ready-made meals and cook the lazy cook. So so this is what can be done in like for example, yes, the nursery activity, because ladies will be working, so they need babysitters to their babies and so on. So this is another thing. When you have a high or increased education levels, this means everybody is trying to get a job, a good job. Okay? Smaller household sizes, household we mean family, smaller family sizes, family sizes smaller, everything they get will be smaller, right?
Yes.
Smaller, like in terms of food packaging, in terms of apartments, in terms of cars. It's a market for small things, right? Okay. So as a marketeer, you can think of these demographic trends this way. Okay? Now we understand how marketers should deal with the sociological factors. Okay. All right. Here we have the technological factors. Technology influences businesses' capacity to offer products as well as consumers' ability to use them. Because we have development in technology, we can offer more products because now we have more ideas for products and you have the capability to produce them, and at the same time consumers have the ability to use them. What do you mean by technology? Technology refers to all the ways in which humans work upon and modify their environment, and it changes all the time. So technology, it's not what we mean by technology, not necessarily to be the IT. It's here, as they told you, the ways in which humans work upon and modify their environment. This is what we mean by technology. So when we got development in technology, everything was developed, right? Starting from your microwaves in your kitchens, okay, to the way, to the distance learning, right?
Yes.
Okay, to having your iPad, to all these things. So we have having development in technology enable different businesses to provide and offer new products and enable the customers also to use them. This is another thing. So as a marketeer, when you think of the technological development, how to make use of this development, this is your role as a marketeer. Okay? All right. So the economic factors, of course, when we studied STEEP model before, we studied the economic factors deeply in terms of interest rate, in terms of exchange rate, right? In terms of economic recession and economic growth, inflation, and all these things. Excellent. So from a marketeer's perspective, the most important aspect of the economic environment is its capacity to influence consumer buying power and spending patterns. If you have, like, how to spend. When we have economic growth, people will tend to spend money. But when we have economic recession, people will tend to save money because they know that the dollar that they waste will not be compensated very soon, right? Because we are in a recession state. Okay, so marketers care about this, how people spend nowadays. What about the spending power, okay, and consumption power? When, for example, a country experiences an economic depression, okay, and the consumer purchasing power is reduced, of course, because it's a depression, okay, people spend their money more carefully. All right. Economic policies pursued by governments and other economic policy makers often have an impact on people's available income and the purchasing power. Keep this in your mind as a marketeer. How much income is available in the hands of consumers or customers? How much income is available in their hands? Keep this in your mind as a marketeer. And analyze the government policies. Okay? Sometimes if the interest rate is high, okay, now in order to get a house, you need to get a loan. In order to get a car, you need to get a loan. In order to start a business, you need to get a loan. Okay? So, if the interest rate is high, interest rate on loans is high, this means that the income you get or the salary you get will not be totally for spending or saving. You have to pay the interest. Right? So if the interest rate is high, this means that the purchasing power, the spending pattern will be very careful or limited. So as a marketer, you should think of this. Okay? How does this affect you as a marketer when you offer the product? At which price should you offer the product? Should you offer this product now or not now, in this country or another country? Okay? All right. And here we have, so now we are done with the sociological, technological, economic, and here we are talking about the environmental forces. When we talk about environmental forces in terms of marketing, you remember last time when we talked about environmental forces or factors in book 1, we talked about pressure groups, about employees, about customers, and green marketing. You remember that? We had 6 points to discuss that time. Here, they usually concentrate on how marketeers should focus on the importance of the natural environmental resources. Because marketeers consume a lot, and businesses in general consume a lot of the natural resources, okay? And the style of this consumption takes the trend that as if these resources will never end, which is not true. Okay, which is not true. At the end, we might run out of some resources, okay? So how to be wise in using natural resources, this is a very important aspect, okay? And how to be ethical in using such resources. So for many years, businesses or business operated as if natural resources were unlimited, and any impact of business activity could be absorbed easily by the natural environment. However, this was not the case in reality, of course. We have limited number of resources, even if it is huge, but it is limited at the end. Okay, on the one hand, marketing and consumption activities have a significant impact on the natural environment, of course. On the other hand, changes in the natural environment can equally affect business capacity to meet customer requirements. If now we have limited resources or limited amount of specific resource, how to meet the customer's needs and wants? So it's a two-way. If you consume today a lot, okay, assuming that the resources are unlimited, in the future you will not be able to meet your customers' needs and wants, because the resources are limited at the end. Okay, marketing is influenced by and has an impact on the natural environment at every stage. Why? Starting from the production. Okay, from the sourcing of raw materials, the production of goods and services, okay? All these things need resources. And storing and transportation of finished goods to the use of the product by the final consumer and its eventual disposal. So marketing activities have huge effect on the natural resources. See this? This is business and the natural environment. Let's take it from here. Inputs from the natural environment. We have inputs from the natural environment. Okay? These inputs include renewable and non-renewable resources, yes. Energy, like water, water, and other resources, packaging, transport, and so on. Okay. Energy, water, and other. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So here, the renewable and non-renewable resources, we get from them the raw materials. Okay. And here we have the production process. All right. So we get finished goods and services out of this production. Okay. And then we have the consumption. And we have the disposal. Okay, we dispose of the, after you consume the product, you dispose of the package, you dispose of whatever. Okay? All these disposal, consumption, finished goods, production, and raw materials means depletion of resources. And means pollution. Depletion of resources. If you are reducing the resources, you get rid out of them, you finish them. Okay, depletion of resources and means pollution. You pollute the environment. And at the end, this impacts on the natural environment. Okay, this is the whole story.
That's why the big companies go green and all this.
That's why, I'm sorry?
Big companies.
Yes.
New way of going green and
yes, they are trying to follow the green marketing approach. They try to have green investments and so on. So this is the whole story. So now you understand how marketing activities affect the natural environmental resources. Okay? All right. This should be considered by marketers. And here we have, so if these resources are being used or made unusable at a faster rate than the natural processes can replenish, okay, can replenish them, human quality of life must deteriorate in the long term or in the long run. So if you are consuming them faster than the rate of replenishing them, replenishing these resources, okay, this means that the quality of life is deteriorating, which means that this hurts us as citizens, as human beings in this world. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. So how to be green? This is a very important question for marketers. The last one here is the political factors. Political factors refer to laws, government agencies, and pressure groups as they influence and constrain the actions of business and consumers. Okay? You as a marketer need to understand the policies followed by the government, the regulations, okay, and the laws. Why? Because this way you can decide on your marketing activities, on your offerings, and so on. Because sometimes it's forbidden to import one of the raw materials, according to government regulations. Sometimes it's forbidden, for example, for example, the taxation is offered on your product. So you need to know if this product is taxable or not, right? All these aspects are related to the governmental actions, the governmental regulations and laws, and they affect the marketing aspects. All markets are to some extent regulated by government action, okay? Otherwise, monopolies tend to develop. You know what we mean by monopoly? To have just one player in the market, specialized in a specific industry, and nobody else is selling this product or conducting activities in this industry. Of course, monopolies reduce the ability of producers and consumers to participate freely in those markets, which means what? To have a monopoly situation in the market means that you as a customer will accept the product even if it is with low quality, the price even if it is a very high price, and so on, which is unhealthy economy, leads us to unhealthy economy. Businesses need to be aware of legislation relating to their products and services. At the end, you need to be aware of legislation related to your product and service, so that you know if this product can be sold in this country or not. Okay, for example, some like alcoholic products, for example, can it be sold in some countries, or it is forbidden? You should ask yourself this way. And some regulations, you can't, for example, promote such products through advertising. You can't use advertising to promote this product to some segments like children. It depends on the regulations of the country. So you need to be familiar with this aspect. Okay? Done? Questions in session 2? Any questions? So in session 2, what did we cover in session 2? Quickly. Huh? Session 2 is mainly about what?
Marketing environment.
Marketing environment. Excellent. So it's marketing environment. Now you understand what we mean by marketing environment?
Yes.
You understand it is divided into internal and external. The external is divided into micro and macro. Excellent. In the micro we talked about
Stakeholders.
all the stakeholders and the ethical issues to be considered. And in the macro we talked about the STEAM model. Excellent. Okay, any questions? Is it interesting? Talking about marketing. Is it interesting? Very interesting. Okay? Alright. So you don't have any questions? No questions so far? Alright. So, okay. Thank you very much and see you next time. Inshallah.